Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards, and I am here today creating a project using one of the pattern papers from our newest scrapbook kit, which is centered all around punctuation and some of the different graphic ways that we can use punctuation in our projects. I put this project together, I don't know, about a week or so ago, and then I opened up Instagram and I saw that one of our community members and one of our contributors, Deneen, had done a project that was very similar to this one using the pattern paper. So I love when that happens, and I love how she saw something similar to what I did in terms of creating a home for a story using this quotation pattern paper. So I am doing a 9x12. I cut my pattern paper down. I had already printed out a large photo of Anna, and what I did next was dive into my embellishment stash. I pulled out my box, my plastic box of heart embellishments, so lots of different textured embellishments from over the years that I am storing together with like things. That just makes it easier for me, especially for some of these shapes that I use really regularly. So initially I was thinking that I would add a heart embellishment. These are plastic hearts. I thought I would add an embellishment in between each of the quotation mark sections. I kind of go through those, pick out some of the similar colors that I would want to use. The story I'm telling here is just a kind of a right now story about what Anna is into. The photo is her in her bed with Betty sitting on top of her. I also added in a really big stitched heart that we offered last year. I think it was part of our Week in the Life collection last year. It's a stitched heart that says right now, or is right now printed on top of it. So I decided to just simply add that onto the photo enlargement, and then I would deal with adding additional embellishments over on the second page. So kind of got those variety of hearts set on there, and then I started thinking about my journaling and trying to figure out how I would want to do the journaling on here. Did I want to do blocks that would go underneath each one of those quotation marks on the pattern paper? That's something I was thinking of. I considered stamping, but in the end what I ended up doing was I measured the space there in between them, and it's about the space that I wanted to use up anyway was about 8 by I think maybe 2 inches, 1.75, something around there. I would highly recommend measuring it yourself. So what I did then once I had those measurements is I took it over into, I use Illustrator for these kinds of tasks. You could do this in Word or Photoshop or wherever you set up your own text, and made text boxes to reflect that size. And then I'm printing my journaling on sticker paper. And I set it up when I printed it so that I would be able to not have it cut right through the middle. Let's see, I'm trying to think of how that even makes sense with how I printed it. I don't think that I actually had to do it that way, but I wanted them to be 8 inches wide at least. Actually, I wanted them to be 9 inches wide at least. That's why I changed the orientation of how I was printing it on that paper. Then I'm going to pull the backing off, and I'm just going to directly adhere the sticker paper right down onto the background pattern paper. I have been using sticker paper a lot recently. It's just an easy way to add directly onto these papers, especially if you're not wanting to use the digital version of the papers. If you're using the digital version, obviously you could just have your text added right on top before you print it out. But if you are using the versions that we sell in the shop, this is one way that you can do it. Another way is by measuring it out and then printing it directly on the background of the pattern paper. But I found that the sticker paper is really an easy way to get my story on there. So thanks to all of you who had suggested that in the past. After I got my journaling on there, then I went back to figuring out where did I want to put the hearts on here. Which did I really want to have them in between all of them? Because as I was writing up my story, I decided that really I only had kind of 2 paragraphs worth of things specifically that I wanted to say on this one. So that's why that's why I just added the journaling onto the inside parts. And then I've got the hearts on there. And then I decided to dive back into my stash. These are I think the name on this box is just lots of words. So it's things that have the words on them, word strips, primarily word-based embellishments. And I found a little series of black plastic phrases, or black plastic with white phrases on top. I think that these were probably part of one of our one little word collections at one point, or one of the mini kits. They could have been a part of something else as well, but something that I had a number of them where I could repeat them all together, and they were able to support the story that I was telling. So I'm pulling the plastic off the top of the pieces, and then I am going to use foam adhesive underneath to actually adhere them on. I'm going to adhere one on top of the quote that I cut out from the pattern paper that has foam adhesive already on the back of it. It's going to get adhered right down on top of that plastic heart, which is on top of the bigger stitched heart there. And then I'm going to do the similar thing over here for all of these guys. I'm just adding on the adhesive, and then I will be going back in using rolling adhesive to adhere down the hearts, and then adding those little black plastic word pieces on top. So a pretty simple page overall. I think while I was working on this, I was thinking a lot about simple scrapbooking, and I was thinking back to the time, back to a previous chapter of life when we had a lot more scrapbook magazines, and when we had simple scrapbooks, and the simple scrapbooking people like Kathy Zilski. I was thinking about those people a lot today as I was putting this one together, and I think it's a nice reminder that we can have really simple pages, and they can be beautifully representative of the stories that we are living in these different seasons of life. So got all of those on there. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to staple a plastic one just to give it a little bit of a background and bring the color over onto that first page. Then I'm pulling up the foam adhesive on the background of this one. The last thing that I'm going to be doing on here is adding a stamp. After I get that guy, the larger stitched heart pocket on top, I'm going to add the date with a rolling date stamp over on that first page. This will go into, I'm pretty sure I have a 9x12 album that is just holding layouts that I've done that are the bigger sized ones, and so this one will probably go directly in there. Most of the time I'm deciding what I want to, the sizes that I want to do just based on how I feel.